It is 3/24/21, 5 o'clock it's time for the Goodhue City Council meeting. Stand for pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I so move.
Second,
Patrice, who seconded?
I did.
Wayne, all in favor? Wayne,
Aye.
Patrice,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Motion's approved. Can I get approval for the minutes of the March 10th council meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Terry Buck, do I got a second?
I second.
Patrice, all in favor? Wayne,
Aye.
Patrice,
Aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Old business, Richard.
Tell you a little bit on a couple of things. I haven't heard any more on the senior living project, so I assume it's still going along. I did talk to one of the local people that's a local investor, and they said that these other people are actually putting the money in, and they said they're quite confident that that's going to go ahead. I don't have anything else to report there. On the Ryan project, some of you maybe noticed that they put up silt fence and they've done a little bit of digging on there. I think Steve and our engineer were working about getting the storm sewer extension permit in place. So that, I think that's the first thing they're going to do is put that in, so I have to dig dirt twice. One other thing that's not on the agenda, I'm just going to bring up that we've had various discussions, emails, calls, correspondence with Mr. Graveman about his request on the garage. We discussed it, and with Carrie and I and Lori, and we're all kind of uncomfortable making a decision on that at a Zoom meeting because of the drawings and this and that. So what we told them that we thought would make better sense would have them come to the meeting on the 14th, an in-person meeting to make a decision. I think there's been I know Terry has taken a look at it. I assume everybody's gone by and looked at the property to see what the challenges are there. I told them straight out, I didn't think there was any consensus at all amongst the council to have that big of a structure there. I told them I don't make the decision. We do have ordinance 156 that seems to give us quite a bit of discretion. That says that basically, I'll put words in their mouth, but basically the ordinance says that if something's too big and doesn't fit, we would have the discretion to deny that. So I told them that what he's got planned now probably is not going to work. And pursuant to Carrie's direction, I told him if you had any other alternative plans for a smaller, less intrusive structure, that probably have a lot better chance of passing. But I don't have he keeps wanting to tell me what's wrong. I can't. I'm not the city. I don't make the policy. That's you guys make the policy. So, but it's been a little contentious at time with him, but I think we kind of got through it at least up till today. So, Carrie, do you have anything else to add that you want to say there?
Well, just that I've talked with a bunch of people or different people with the county and everything else. And the biggest thing is if you make a single story structure, that they could make it work. As far as the county and everybody was concerned, it would work on that, but the double story one is where we're going to have an issue. So I told him to bring it back to as a single story. Hopefully he will. That's all I can say.
What is his actual address? I don't know where this is.
You know where Brian Wolf lives?
Brian Wolf. Oh yeah, Pitt. Yep.
Yeah, right next door to the east.
Okay, I gotta stop by and check that out sometime here. Okay, just to the east of, okay, Brian, sure, okay.
I mean, he sent the thing back for the, and with the plating and that, it'll fit in there, everything, but the county's gonna make them put some water stuff and
Open it up.
so. Well, we'll do that next week.
I am gonna say something, Carrie, though, there too. He really didn't. We still don't have the identified property lines where they are. He did draw up a better drawing than what he had before, but he still did not locate. I mean, we sat at the last meeting and he himself said that he didn't know where the lines were and that you couldn't use GPS and etc. But we still don't know where those property lines are. We have a suspicion. We know how long, we know how big his lot is, but we don't know because there's no pins been located or no location work been done, that we don't know where those lines are. We think we do, and maybe Steve can comment on this, unless there's a pin that somebody found, but we don't know where that property lines are. Okay, just so that's clear.
Let's go into new business here. Michelle?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Yes. Well, Mr. Mayor and council members, thank you so much for having me here today. I am excited just to discuss the solar array that we are interested in pursuing. It is within the city of Goodhue's city limits, and just wanted to have an introductory conversation and answer any questions you might have about our current plans before we would move forward through an actual application process. So I know that Lori passed around the packet I sent over last week. It's pretty long, so I can share my screen today and just point out some of the specific details that I wanted to discuss with you. That works okay. All right. All right, so essentially the project we're hoping to permit here, it is called USS Wells Creek Solar. It would be located on the southeastern side of town. It's along County Road 9 Boulevard and about 1/3 of a mile east of the State Highway 58 right there. And I'll scroll down to the site plan so we can look at that just right off the bat. What we're proposing. There's a good number of maps in here. It's pretty big. So as you can see here, the project will be located on the south side of County 9 Boulevard. It's about 8.5 acres in size here on the eastern side of the parcel owned by Stair Farms, excuse me. And our current proposed design is actually a bit complicated because it's located across 2 parcels owned by the farms organization. And the northern one is within the city's jurisdiction. The southern one is actually within the jurisdiction of Goodhue County. So currently my team has been working with the lead planner at the county and Dick Gorman to determine the best route to permit given the multiple jurisdictions present here. So yeah, this is the preliminary site plan that we would be looking at. Again, it's about 8.5 acres in size, 1 megawatt solar facility. So just a couple of details before I keep scrolling through this about our company. So US Solar is a Minnesota-based company. We develop, own, and operate community solar gardens. And with this goal, we seek to develop solar gardens that integrate with the local community, increase the tax base, support landowner rights, enhance crop yields nearby, and strengthen the environment and wildlife. So that's our goal with all of our projects. This design would meet all setbacks required by the city It would interconnect directly to Xcel's existing distribution system, which is along County Road 9. And it would generate actually enough clean energy to power about 225 homes annually. And since it is so close to the city itself, it would be consumed by the residents, businesses, and public entities of the city of Goodhue. And those people and members are actually eligible to receive a direct financial benefit through a solar subscription from the facility. So specifications and construction we'd be looking at with a type of facility like this. It's about 8.5 acres, as I mentioned. Construction is fairly straightforward. All of the panels are held into the ground with steel I-beams, so those would be driven into the ground. There's no concrete involved whatsoever. And racking would then sit on top of those I-beams. Solar panels then clip into the racks. And yeah, as I mentioned, no concrete footings, there's no permanent structures or buildings involved in the facility. The most noticeable phase of construction would be pile driving. That's only about a day and a half long. And the rest of any construction activity would be completed in about 7 weeks. After the facility would be constructed, it would only be, we'd really only have about 1 pickup truck quarterly to visit the site for any ongoing maintenance. So there would be no traffic impacts or anything of that sort to the city. So regarding visual impact, as I said, we seek to integrate the project into the community and preserve the city's character. Our projects are different than several you may have seen around the state in a number of ways. So first of all, here we would be using single axis trackers. They're going to follow the sun from east to west throughout the day. And that panel height ranges from about 6 to 8 feet for normal operations rather than fixed tilt system, which are usually around 15 feet tall. So it's going to sit quite a bit lower. We use a farm field type fence, which is going to blend in really nice with the natural characteristics of the land. There's no barbed wire involved, and it has wooden posts. And then lastly, and most importantly, in my opinion, the landowners own the property extending west 2,700 feet and then basically nearly a mile south of the project. The nearest neighboring residence is over 1,100 feet away from the project. So there should be no visual impact to neighboring residences. So now I'll flip to page 6, zoom in a little bit. This is the location as seen from the road, just so you have a reference point of where we would be looking for the facility. Here's another angle. And then this is the type of fence we'd be implementing. It's a farm field style fence with the wooden posts and page wiring. So no barbed wire. And I have a couple pictures here as well of other sites we've developed. This site is located in Stearns County. And as you can see, it's about 3 years old now. And so we do vegetate our sites with a native habitat mix. And throughout the first couple of years, they really established quite well and bloom full vegetation and flowers throughout the summer months. So really cool. And then here's one, you can just see how it fits in alongside the local crop fields, farming operations going on here. So this is what it would look like, although it would be closer to the road. So. And then just another note on physical impact. The solar panels we use are made out of the same stuff as the cell phone in your pocket, silicon, glass, silver, and copper. There's no hazardous materials whatsoever. And once operational, there's no noise, traffic, odor, glare, light, or anything. So it's a very good, quiet operation. So removal process, what we typically do and what would occur here is our lease with the landowner requires us to decommission the site. Resale and recycle value is expected to significantly exceed the cost of removal, and it will be very straightforward to remove. And at that point, the project site can then be converted to other uses in accordance with land use regulations at the time of decommissioning. So, and then, yeah, once again, I just highlight that direct financial benefit is available to the community members. We invest in native habitat mix. It actually increases nearby crop yields, decreases stormwater runoff, and it will also be bringing some upgrades to the local distribution infrastructure that bring power to the city. So yeah, that concludes just my spiel about what to expect and what we're looking at in applying for a project of this nature. I'd like to thank Lori and Dick for doing some initial work with me to discuss the project, and look forward to discussing it in more detail with you. So yeah, happy to continue discussing at this point.
Well, thank you.
Gary, can I add something on that, please?
Yes,
She did call me and I think we had 2 discussions now. And about the jurisdictional issue, that part of the property that they're proposing to do this on is in the city limits of Goodhue, and part of it is in Goodhue Township. And I reviewed our zoning ordinance, and what she'd have to do is get a conditional use permit that, and we'd have to make a finding that, because we have kind of a catch-all in the ordinance that says other uses similar in nature to the above uses, which in the opinion of the village council will not be detrimental to the integrity of agricultural district. So I think it's possible to get for her to do this in the city limits, but you're going to have to make a finding that that's not detrimental to agriculture. I do think, and I told Michelle this, if this was on the west side of 58, I think it'd be a different story. I don't think this would probably be something that would be in the city's best interest. The east side, that's for the council to decide based upon our growth patterns, and getting across to the east side, I'm not sure we're gonna be doing, and given the fact there's 2, at least, 1 active agricultural farm there. I mean, with livestock, now we're down to 1. I think I can't see, at least in my lifetime, us expanding over in that area. But if, say, if somebody else wanted to do us on the other side of 58, I'm not sure that would be the best use of land. But that's a decision that a council will have to make. Thank you.
well, I talked to Stairs about it also, and I don't really have an issue where it is, but if they went to the west side of that first house, then I would have a very big issue. I'm not positive where the land or where the city ends and starts right there, because it zigzags. Because like Stairs' house is in the city, but their barns are in Goodhue Township. So that line goes through there at funny angles, so I'm not positive where it is even. But if they would add on, they would be going to the south.
Yeah. So typically, or what we currently have, the design, it starts on their parcel that's the really long to the east and west one. And it's up there on the eastern side, and then it goes down south enough that it enters into their parcel located just south, which is not incorporated in the city of Goodhue's property. And based on the Goodhue County maps and data I have available, it looks like that full parcel to the north that runs really long east to west is all incorporated within the city of Goodhue. But if you do have another resource that might display that differently or be more accurate, that would be great to know too.
Yeah, and I'm not positive, to be very honest with you.
Yeah.
I know the house is in Goodhue, that house to the east is in, which Stairs also own, is in the city. And I know their house is in the city because at one time they wanted sewer and water out there in city amenities, so that's why it's in the city. And I mean, it's up to the council, as long as it wouldn't come any closer to town, I don't really have an issue, but I don't know how the other council people feel about it, so.
I've got some questions. Now you said there's no hazardous materials. It was my understanding that if the our other solar farm was to have a fire, our fire department wouldn't even go there. Because of and maybe Jason or Carrie could tell me more about that. And so I'd be concerned that if there's a fire, would we have to evacuate town? There's no lead in this, in these panels or anything like that?
Yes, great question, thank you. So the panels we use are tier 1 solar panels and they contain no hazardous materials whatsoever. I think any existing one you may have from a few years earlier, the other developers could have potentially used panels that do contain something along those lines. Like, I'm not sure if it would be lead or what it would, cadmium, something like that, that the fire department would not be interested in or okay with. But the ones we would be using for this facility are basically silicon glass, silver and copper, no hazardous materials whatsoever. And we would definitely work with the fire department as well to make sure that they're all good with the design, everything's cleared on their end to make sure that there's no risks or anything whatsoever.
And now you said, what's the longevity of these? And it would be your company's responsibility when they degenerate at about 5% a year. And so when they're done, 25 years or something like that, you would take care of that?
Yes, yep, absolutely. So our agreement with Xcel Energy is for 25 years. So basically we're allowed to interconnect to their facility for 25 years. The panels we use, the brand, that's the tier 1 brand, no hazardous materials, those have an expected annual degradation of 0.5%. So year to year, you can see it go down by just that little amount. They are warranted to produce 80% of the day 1 production in year 30. So that's even longer than this agreement with Xcel. So after year 25, these are going to be resold. They're still producing a very valuable commodity at least 80%. So, and we would be fully responsible to remove all equipment, resell the solar panels, give them new homes, and then all of the steel materials for the piles and everything would be used for other uses. So.
And would that be something you would rebuild if you do take them out in 25 years and if it is still an applicable type energy source?
Right, yeah, if the permit allowed, I think that there is a chance we obviously, I think the biggest thing is with Xcel, we'd have to renew our interconnection agreement with them for more years. But if the opportunity allowed, I think if they're still producing at 80%, we could put in some higher powered panels to still reach a 1 megawatt production value and just kind of upgrade the equipment to continue working at its maximum potential.
One more. Is there any kind of environmental impact study done on this so we know that it's not hazardous to any wildlife or nature type issues there?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So the first thing I'll say is we do lift our fence up 4 inches. So that allows we have to do that, especially for endangered species like Blanding's turtle. Not sure if you've heard of them, but they're a special one. So they need to be able to pass through the facility. And then that also allows like rodents, rabbits, whatever else wants to go through can habitate in there. And then the native habitat has had some really positive pollinator studies done on it where they use it as a way station, and it's a great habitat for pollinators. They can bounce around and continue. It actually has been found to increase nearby crop yields for crops that are pollinated. So that's another cool benefit to the local community area. And then I can pull up this packet quickly. I had some information on a study that was done recently on the hazardous materials side to answer that part of your question. Just one moment here. So what we learned recently is that there was a study done where they basically modeled it's through the International Energy Agency, which is basically a global collaboration between thousands of experts across different fields. And they analyzed a worst case scenario of solar disposal, which would be where they dispose it in a non-sanitary landfill with no stormwater management or groundwater monitoring. And that's illegal in Minnesota, first of all. And by analyzing those worst case conditions, they can basically model what the maximum human health impacts would be if it associated with PV modules. So basically what they found is none of them disposed under that scenario presented a cancer risk per US regulatory screening guidelines. None of them violated any water quality guidelines from the World Health Organizations. And there was no hazards to chemical concentrations in soil, groundwater, surface water, or air. So basically, we would never dump the panels illegally in a non-sanitary landfill or dump them in general, because like I said, they're going to be producing still incredible amounts in 25, 30 years. But if it was illegally dumped in a non-sanitary landfill near a river with no water management, there would be no adverse impact to human health. So,
Thank you.
yes, thank you for your questions.
I have a
Anybody?
couple questions. So you said it wasn't, correct me if I'm wrong, it wouldn't be deemed agricultural? Is that correct? Anybody? Carrie?
It would have to be with a special use condition on it.
Okay,
So that way, if it goes back, then it'd be back to agricultural too.
okay. So would this be considered commercial?
No.
Oh,
No?
no,
Okay.
no, what we would, can I answer that? Can I try?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's an agriculture, this area is zoned agricultural,
Correct.
but it would still be a commercial use in an agricultural district. And we would have to make a finding if this was to go forward, that this particular commercial use was not detrimental to an agricultural area. So it would still be, it would be an agricultural zone, would be a commercial use in it. So I'm sure they're taxed at a commercial rate or whatever it is. What do they pay for? That's a question. How much property taxes these things pay?
Yeah, great question. I believe, I don't have an exact number off the top of my head, but we are labeled as a commercial use and then pay a property tax according to having the conditional use on the property.
But then you don't know what you pay though.
I can get a number and email it over to all of you.
That'd be kind of
That'd
nice
be
to
helpful.
know. I'm sure it's
Yeah.
probably more than 10 acres of land, you know?
Yeah, yes, it for sure is. And another thing of note too is that solar facilities in Minnesota that are over 1 megawatt, which this one would not be over 1 megawatt, they pay a production tax as well. So like if you were to have a larger scale facility approach you, they're paying a production tax to the state. Because of the 1 megawatt community solar program in Minnesota, they are tax exempt for a production tax perspective, but still paying property tax at a much higher rate than just an agricultural rate. But we have done payments in lieu of taxes in the past for different permitting authorities, if that is a major concern, that there is no production tax occurring through a project of this size. So that's just another piece for your intel.
I think we should negotiate something on that. If we need a little, if something beyond the particular property tax, maybe we're gonna have to negotiate a payment in lieu of that so that the city is treated fairly with respect to this project.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll pull up that property tax estimate for all of you and make sure that's circulated.
Okay. Anybody else got any questions?
I have another one. I was wondering how you said it would supply power to approximately 225 homes. So how are those homes chosen?
Yeah, great question. So this program is, how this would work is we'll be on the south side of County 9 Boulevard there, and we would then interconnect directly to Excel's grid, which basically is going to feed straight into the city of Goodhue. So the power is going to go wherever power is being used, just like Excel's traditional grid. How the savings aspect works in the community solar program is that it's like a virtual subscription to a solar array. So the goal of this program is to allow people who can't either afford to have solar on their roof or don't have the right type of roof or so on and so forth. Basically, anybody who isn't interested or unable to have solar on their own roof can still see the savings of having solar in their life, basically. So individual households or businesses or municipalities or schools can subscribe their usage to the array and then receive a bill credit from Excel through being a subscriber. So not everybody's going to receive the savings. They'd have to sign up through the program. But basically, the city of Goodhue, whoever needs electricity when the sun is shining, is going to receive the power from the array because it's the closest power source. So.
And as far as what they were talking about earlier with the fire department being involved, it was more of an electrocution hazard with the water in the, that was the main concern, was an electrocution hazard, was when it was asked earlier, so.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, we'll definitely make sure everything's clear on that.
Where is your closest solar farm in Minnesota or solar garden?
Yeah, good question. So right now we've got several in the Northfield area, which is probably a little far from you all. I'm looking at a map right now. We've got one that is further south, probably like 4 or 5 miles south of Zumbrota is probably our closest active one. We've got one in Winona as well that's also active. So there's several in the general area, a couple already in Goodhue County, and then several in Rice County as well that are pretty close to the city.
Would we be able to possibly talk with somebody to find out locally how this solar garden has impacted Winona, Zumbrota, and Northfield?
Right. Yeah. Great question. I think we could probably pull something together like that. I'll talk with my team and see what we could provide.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Anybody
Anyone
else got
else?
anything? Patrice, if you want to talk, you're muted.
I know. I'm muted because I wasn't talking. Okay. Yeah. So people, if they want to, they have to sign up for this if they get their electricity from Excel. And then they would be able to be a part of the money coming back or a reduction in their electric bill, correct?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. They can sign up and then they receive a bill credit from Excel that drastically reduces their bill, and then they pay a subscription rate that is set below the bill credit they're receiving. So they end up getting a fixed discount basically every month per kilowatt hour used.
Okay, but they pay a subscription for that?
Yeah, yep. So as an example, I'm just gonna try to make this right now. So if just to say like the electric rate per kilowatt hour is like 12 cents. And the bill credit rate is also 12 cents. So how that would work is if you're a subscriber, if your house subscribes and your rate is 12 cents per kilowatt hour, then you're gonna get a bill credit also of 12 cents per kilowatt hour. So that's basically gonna wipe out your Excel bill to be $0. And then your subscription rate is always set lower than your bill credit rate. So let's just say your subscription rate is 11 cents per kilowatt hour. Then you pay 11 cents per kilowatt hour to your developer. And then you end up saving 1 cent per kilowatt hour on your electric bill monthly, and it carries on, and you just see the savings add up through that.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you.
So what does that do for people? I guess, Carrie, how many people do we have on REA versus XL in town?
Well, anybody from, on Fifth Avenue or anybody in that part of that Frederickson edition and, Swanson edition are all, Goodhue County. From, the High Lines go under Fifth Avenue there, that east is all XL Energy. Except for my area is a XL Energy also. But just at my housing development right there. You know, then everything up on top of the hill, like where Dave and Cindy and them live, is all Goodhue County Co-op.
So we don't,
You
what would you
wouldn't-
say
you
would be
wouldn't-
percentages?
70-30 maybe, 80-20.
Okay.
You know, the only part that's not in XL Energy in the city is that new addition, and that the Frederickson part, the first part is in XL Energy. So like the first 3 twin homes up there are in XL Energy. Or no, excuse me, the apartments are in XL Energy, and then everything going south, Dorothy Lodemar, or Dorothy and Mike Lodemar and all that, that's all in XL Energy yet.
Okay.
So everything east and south of that is XL.
Are we ever gonna switch everybody to XL or no? Okay.
No, because it, the actual boundaries is like where I live should have been in Goodhue County Co-op also. And they didn't catch it when our development was built. But so when the Frederickson, or yeah, the Frederickson addition and that was all built, they caught it. So XL Energy actually had to give some stuff up in Frontenac to give to Goodhue County Co-op in order to keep us, my addition. So it's even out. There's set boundaries in there that they can't really cross. That's a utility per boundary. Any other questions? Well, thank you, Melissa or Michelle. And
Yes, thank you.
we'll get back to you, or you get back to us in a little while. Let everybody think about everything for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds great. I think what we can do is I'll provide those couple of information pieces that would be helpful for all of you. And then I'm gonna work with Lori on submitting an actual application once we've received any other feedback and you've had a chance to think about everything. And then we'd pursue an actual application for a conditional use permit at that point. So yeah, don't hesitate to reach out if you have any more questions or comments. I'd be happy to talk to any of you, and I can provide my contact information in the email with those pieces of info as well.
If you
So,
if you would, when you get back to Lori, that if you put your email so everybody if anybody has any questions, they can get to you.
yes, that sounds wonderful. Thank you all so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay, Volkfest with Traven.
Howdy. I guess we're planning on moving forward with things with Walls' latest update. So I'm looking for approval for 2 things. One would be our liquor license, and the other one would be fireworks permit for Hairballs Show. If there's any questions for me on that?
What are you talking about, fireworks for Hairball? There's not the fireworks for the city.
It's part of their show, their pyrotechnics. They technically need a certified pyrotechnic to light them off, and they need a permit signed by the fire chief and the city. It's something we did 2 years ago, I guess, when we did Hairball.
I don't remember it.
So they have, one of their staff is certified. He's a certified pyrotechnic. I don't have it on hand. I could pull up on my screen, but if you want a copy, I can certainly drop one off at City Hall.
Yeah, would ya?
But it's attached with the permit that I got to bring down anyway and get signed if you guys do approve.
How does the council feel about it?
Sorry, what was that?
I'm just asking the council how they felt, how they all feel about it.
I guess I didn't see the show last time. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
And I
Wayne,
guess,
you're itching to talk.
yeah, I guess, if they have somebody there who knows how to do these things and licensed and that kind of thing, I would feel safe with it. So, okay with it. And it's not going to interfere with are we going to do something as a city with the fireworks for folks?
On Saturday night, yeah.
Okay, that won't interfere with what we're doing?
Oh, Hairball is Friday night. It should have no effect.
Yeah, I don't have an issue.
I'll need a motion.
Do we need a permit? Is that it for, say that again, Traven?
Yeah, it's for fireworks permit.
Make a motion for the fireworks permit.
I'll second.
Wayne made a motion and Patrice second. All in favor, Wayne,
Aye.
Patrice,
Aye.
Terry,
I,
Jason?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Now you want a liquor license also?
So that would be the second thing.
Have we had any problems with it before? I mean, serving minors and that?
We've done a pretty decent job.
Well, that's what
Yeah,
I'm asking. That's what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I think we do pretty good with it. We have the security company. We don't even check IDs. The security company checks IDs and sorts people sort of in line, tells them which band to put on them. So we kind of push the liability on them. As far as I know, we've done pretty good. I mean, there's some things you can't help, whether someone peels a band off and gives it to their buddy or whatever. Someone looks underage, we try and do our best. I've questioned people when they come up to the table.
No, that's what I'm asking, yeah, make sure that gets done right, so. Do I get a motion to give them JC's a liquor license for, what days are they?
We get the liquor license for the whole weekend, June 11th through the 13th, would be the days this year.
That's what I was wondering, what date, so. Get a motion to have a liquor license from the 11th to the 13th for JC's, did I get a motion, please?
I'll make the motion.
Terry made a motion, do I get a second?
Second.
Patrice made a second, all in favor, Wayne?
Aye.
Patrice,
Aye.
Terry,
I,
Jason?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Anything else, Traven?
Oh, that's all I had. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Reese, you're up next.
Hey, well, good evening, everyone. So just a few updates today. So first one I had was Viola Lane. So we did get some, basically the scope worked out to where the city project would ultimately provide the utility extension for the project. And then the developer would create his own driveway without actually formally extending the road. So really the roadway, the plan is to just keep the roadway stopped where it is, and then let them build their own driveway as that goes. So we are just wrapping up plans, and we'll be planning to go in for permit tomorrow. We just got a little bit of information from Kenny on some of his sanitary flows. So all that should be moving forward here very quickly. Jumping into the sanitary district, we have not had a meeting with the group just yet. Our next scheduled one is for next Wednesday. So that'll really just kind of lay out the next steps for that. Now I do have a meeting set up with a few of the other engineers for the other communities on just, obviously the next step would be the feasibility study. So really we're just trying to figure out what that outline and what that scope should look like, just to make sure that we can, really wrap our heads around this and give some good direction with associated costs moving forward. Other than that, I guess for Steve, and I guess I'm not sure, have you happened to hear from the MPCA? I know they hadn't returned your call the last time.
Yeah, she actually talked with me today, and they were just inquiring where we were standing on as far as their new chloride limits, and then she just asked if we can mail an official letter saying we want the variance, and then she will get back to us. And she actually said it'd probably be quite a few months before she'd even get to look at that because she's busy with other projects too, she said. But yeah, they would like the letter fairly soon. And I do believe Doug and I think we've got it drafted up already anyways, but I will check with Doug and see if he sent it or not. And if not, we'll get it sent out.
Sounds great. Thank you, Steve.
Yep.
So then the last one I had was for 4th Street. And I know we've kind of discussed that a few times, but right now the biggest updates we were looking at is if we wanted to pursue that project, we could, basically the timeline would be you would have a public notice, you would hold a hearing on the improvement, and that would be at the next council meeting, I believe. That would be the 14th of April. I think I actually wrote down the 7th, but that is incorrect. Your next meeting is the 14th. And then anticipated bid date would be generally July 1st with construction starting late July. And then your completion date would be close to that October timeframe. So I guess with that, I'll kind of open it up to some discussion. I know we've talked about this a little bit in the past, so won't dive too far into the weeds, but just kind of looking for a little bit of direction, or if we wanted to hold on that too.
How's everybody feel?
Do we have the money?
No, we'd have to bond for it.
Okay. And is that feasible? I mean, for what we have now, for the bonds that we have and all of that. I'm just learning this. I'm just asking.
Yeah, no, it's a good question. You either have to have Dick or George answer that one. Or Lori.
Not all talk at once. Well, I mean, it is a problem about money. I'm cautiously optimistic that through this next government relief package, we're going to get some money. I think specifically some of that money is going to be tailored towards water and sewer improvements that we may be able to use on this big project. What I was hoping to do, Patrice, is that I was hoping to get that senior living land purchased back, which is about 200,000. This is my own thought process. So, correct me if I'm wrong. So then I thought we could use about 100,000 of that is probably gonna have to be used to pay for that sewer and water extension down by Kenny Ryan's project. So there might be some, but then we also promised, or also made a commitment to the senior living that we would at least extend that, the sewer and water to their property too, I think. Depending on how much work we gotta do there, maybe that might be another 25,000. So there might be $75,000 there. In my own mind, I thought we could maybe use towards this project. My other thought, and I talked to a couple other people about this today, is that I think everybody got the email. And and Deidre, I don't know who Deidre Riley is. Patrice, maybe you can tell me who that is. Probably one of my relatives too, but I don't know who that is.
Jake and Colleen's daughter. She
Oh.
lives in that corner house there.
Okay. I think Deidre made some valid points about the school, and I don't know how much planning the school went into as far as parking and use and everything else, but it seems to me that there maybe might want to be a conversation with the school about participating more than the customary 25% on that street, because and I told this, I think I told this to Carrie or somebody, I told this to, that we probably should have been planning this a little bit further. And they spent a lot of money at that school, and it's too bad some of that didn't get allocated towards maintenance and fixing of those streets around there, because they have taken a beating. And I'm not sure that it isn't. I don't know what their budget's like up there, but I think we at least need to have the conversation with them about kicking in some more money on this project. Because according to what Deidre says, the street wasn't that bad. I know it was not good, but it wasn't that bad, and now it's gone. So I don't know how we'd have any more than 70. We could probably come up with 75,000. Laura, you jump in there and tell what you think. Probably come up with 75,000 out of money coming in, so to speak, if everything falls in line. But then we're talking about a project that is 350 or so. We're still there's a pretty good gap there yet. So then we're down to 275 we haven't accounted for yet. We do have a fund balance, but the fund, I kind of like Lori and I were talking about that a couple of weeks ago. Our fund balance isn't as much as at one time. Our fund balance was around $2 million, and it sat there for a long time. Now we got about 1.3 or so. I think I don't have the sheet here in front of me. And we'll get another payment in June. That'll put that fund balance up again a little bit. But so I kind of hesitate to bond for it. But no, I don't hesitate. I don't know. I don't want to really borrow any more money until we get some of this stuff paid for. But you guys are the ones that have to address the issues. I think there's going to be, at least Deidre, by the tone of her letter, is going to be, I think, pretty upset if we throw a $10,000 assessment on her lot. I don't know about Nita Gradient. I don't know about Nita Gradient. I don't know about I guess the Ropers that live in Lexholds that live in the Rouge House, the old Rouge House down there, what their thoughts are. And of course the school's thought too, if we're gonna assess it, they're gonna have to. So I'm just not sure it isn't fair it wouldn't be wise to go back to the school and say, hey, this is out there. This is a mess. And I also think that there needs to be a little bit of thought into putting how we're gonna, in the future, try and avoid that street from being a parking lot for the school property. I saw the pictures, and I think it's probably concerning, and maybe it's now because of some, the construction and everything going on, maybe it's a problem more than it should be. But just because they I don't know what kind of studying they did about parking before they did that project, and I don't know if they're going to make the staging area where the greenhouse, if that's going to be a parking lot or not, I don't know. But I talked to Terry about this, is the Holy Trinity Church, is that going to continue to be a parking lot for the school or not? I don't know. So those are just some thoughts I had, but money wise, I think, and Lori, what do you think? Is 75, is that you think we could, if we sold that for 200 or so, the 75, we could probably, based upon my back of the envelope scratching here, we could come up with for on that, but what are your thoughts? If you want to talk, I don't know. I probably said enough.
It'd probably be safest to bond.
Hmm.
George, can you remind me what Standard & Poor's said about our cash reserves?
Sure. Hello, all. This is George Eilertson from Northland Securities, and looking at the bond rating report right now. And Dick was right on with the number 1.1 to 1.3 million is what you have for that available fund balance. And what they indicate is, now what I'm referring to, City Council, here is the next item on your agenda is the resolution for that refunding bond. And as part of that process, we went through to get the city's bond rating reassigned. And so the part of the analysis that the rating agency looks at is the city's available fund balances. And so, certainly you've got high available fund balances, they say, but then they also, there's a percentage of your operating expenditures that if you can maintain 75% or more and stay above that threshold, you kind of get an automatic one-notch upgrade, which is why the city has as good of a bond rating as it does. And so that's a figure that, and maybe not for, I may not have the answer to that right now. The rating analysts sent to Lori and I some information on what figures went into that calculation from them. But what I'd like to see the city consider doing is certainly maintain above that figure so that you don't get to a point where you might see a rating downgrade. And so,
George,
in listening to your conversation,
George, let me jump in there.
Sure.
Just for simple math, our budget is about $1 million a year. Okay, that's what it is, and so 75% of that would be, about $750 to $1 million. Correct?
right? I think in round numbers here, we're looking at you are probably looking at about 700,000 would be that figure. Try to maintain at least that level and not spend below that.
Okay.
And then you keep yourself above the 75%. I think what I'd like the city council to do is there's a resolution that I think you should consider relating to this project. I agree with Dick. If you can find the resources to avoid bonding, that's a good approach, especially for a relatively small dollar amount. But there's a resolution called a reimbursement resolution that the city might want to consider. What it does is it just gives you the ability to pay for the project costs in cash now and then reimburse yourself later. If you find that, boy, we spent our reserves down or spent our fund balance down a little too far, we'd like to come back at a later date and issue a bond to pay ourselves back. It just gives you that flexibility. Doesn't mean that you have to do that. So I can send one of those down for an upcoming city council meeting. Again, just preserves flexibility for the city. If you find that, hey, we looked at different avenues to pay for this in cash, we've kind of tapped all available resources and we still don't have enough money, then you could come back and bond at a later date. So I think that's a good step for you to look at for that project. So Now, that doesn't answer the question, should you bond, should you not bond? It's a small enough dollar amount that honestly, and the city's got a good relationship with the local bank, that when you're looking at a bond issue that's less than $500,000, in this case, probably $400,000 or less, there's a good opportunity to just, from an efficiency standpoint of costs, work with the local bank on that. As well, you can avoid some of the traditional bonding costs, like going out for a bond rating. That small of a project wouldn't make sense financially to get a rating fee, which is $8,000 to $10,000 for that size of a bond. If you could just get a good interest rate, if you will, from the local bank for that financing. So just part of the discussion today. So Mayor, I hope that helped in the discussion.
Well, no, I'm glad you were on this meeting tonight, to be honest with you. When we're talking about it. So it's, I think Dick and I'll have to go, maybe we can go to the bank and see what we can do, kind of interest rates we can get without bonding.
Yeah, and technically, sorry, Mayor. Technically, you're still issuing a bond. If you go to the local bank, it's not like a personal loan for the city. You still issue what's called a general obligation bond for the city. And you always have to jump through a few hoops, like your engineer was noting. You have to hold a hearing where you invite the people that are potentially going to be assessed. So you have to jump through a couple of those hoops first. And then when you get to the point where the city council orders the improvement or orders the project, any point after that, you can issue your financing. So, and technically, the bond attorney needs to provide a resolution that you can issue tax exempt bonds. And so again, just a few steps there where it's a little bit different than you or I personally going to the bank. It's the city issuing that bond issue.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I was just thinking more that we got to talk to the school. Maybe Dick and I can go up and talk to them and see if we can get them to throw some more cash into it and see what we can come up with. Because I mean, the street is gone. That's a given.
Well, the other thing, Carrie, even if they're going to have a share of it anyway, even under our current policy.
Yep.
And I just think that, if we could get say we got 75, we put in ourselves, or we put in right now, and maybe we could get, maybe there's somebody from the school listening, maybe they give us a couple $100,000. Maybe we could get by with this, and because that would work a lot better. And maybe if we could go and negotiate something with them and then make a decision. And maybe you want to move ahead with the public hearing, but the other thing is these people are going to get sticker shocked, like Deidre, about how much even her assessment is going to be.
I know what they mean, because I got assessed to it.
Now, you mentioned that we maybe, well, in fact, I thought we heard that cities and states and that kind of thing, we're getting more COVID money, and then we might be able to use some of that. And then will the school be getting more COVID money? Would that be something you guys could approach them on and say, can we use some of that for the street?
I don't know the answer to that. I think my understanding from just from reading, not from any insight I have, is that the COVID money is going to be paid to just cities and counties, not school districts. And I think, Wayne, but don't look this at the bank, I think we're going to have a little more flexibility this time than we had last time. It was really tight last time. It had to be used for, direct COVID related expenses. So, and I think we're probably going to know pretty soon. I think they're supposed to be starting to pay that out, like I heard, like in 60 days. And what the way it works is that for towns of our size, of town of 50,000 or less, I believe it gets paid to the state first, then the state gives it to us. If you're more than 50,000, according to my reading, the government, the federal government gives it right to that bigger town. I don't know why, but that's apparently the way it is. So maybe, you know, maybe a suggestion, maybe we can go ahead with just because we go ahead with our public hearing doesn't lock us into this, but I think we need to do some more, again, a little more homework with the school and with everybody else. And with Nikki, our senior living person, again, this money is all on the come. We don't have it yet, you know. Maybe there's a way to make this work to keep everybody happy, so to speak.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anybody else got any questions?
I guess one thing I could add to that is, you know, having the pavement management plan from, I believe that was 2015. I think we can certainly reference that when you talk to the school. So that, I mean, we look at it and there is a very severe, you know, decrease in the pavement quality because of that project. The one thing, you know, and I guess it's just a little bit of a formality piece, but, you know, really from a timing standpoint, I think if we pushed it one more meeting, I think we can still get it built this year. But if we push it much further than that, it's probably a next year deal, just construction timeline and everything else that goes along with that. So I would be comfortable doing that. The only thing is if we start to receive the report tonight and order the assessment hearing, then that kind of goes back to that current assessment. So if there is going to be some more discussion with the school on that, then that, you know, will impact the assessment, you know, amounts. So just wanted to, you know, throw that out there too.
Okay. Then I think see if we can get a meeting with the school. Let's push it out for one more meeting then. Then we
Can I
can
ask
meet.
something, Carrie?
Yes.
So what would be the worst case scenario if it got pushed out a year due to funding?
Well, it's how bad that street gonna get blocked off again or wash out again, you know?
Mm.
I mean, then also the school wants to finish their parking or their curb and guttering and all that. That was up to the city. I mean, 2 years ago, we were talking about doing this and we decided to wait till right after the building, that east end that got done, and then we were gonna do it. Otherwise, it would have been done already. But I think what we should do is just push this off table it till next meeting. And Dick and I'll see if we can set up a meeting with the school and see if we can talk with Evans or something. Does it sound good to everybody?
I think we should have the engineer participate too, Carrie.
Oh, yeah, Reese, I'm sorry. Yeah, I want you there too.
Even if it's by Zoom or something, and he can explain better than you or me why we feel we have to have a little more participation from the school in this project.
Absolutely, and I can certainly come down if that helps too. So either way works.
Is that a consensus with the council then to let us take care of it for 2 more weeks?
Sounds good.
Okay. That's what we'll do then. Bond resolution. George, you're back up again.
All right. Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. On the screen, and I apologize for the small font here. And I'm not sure, Lori, if you can make that bigger or not, but there, perfect. Perfect, thank you. So on the agenda here and in your packets, there's a resolution relating to the issuance of refunding bonds. Now, you know, certainly we just talked about financing and bond issues. And so this of course, we've talked about for a meeting or two. This is refinancing 2 of the city's existing bond issues, one from 2010 and one from 2014. There was a time when we were looking at two additional bonds, 2017 and 2020. Those are two bonds that are at the local bank. Upon further review, those have favorable interest rates and favorable flexibility with the bonds being callable on any date, or prepayable on any date. So we elected, after conversations, certainly Dick and Lori and I have been working pretty closely on this, and we decided to take those two out and just go back to how we originally were looking at this, which is the 2010 and 2014 bonds. And a little refresher is the 2010 bonds financed two projects, a water tower project as well as a street project, and the 2014 bonds were a street project as well as what shows up as abatement, that's for the pool. So that's the bonds that were issued for those projects. As part of, and actually was referenced here on the previous item, as part of this bond issue, because it's a large enough bond issue, right around $2 million and long enough, we've got a final maturity out in the year 2040. The city has a very good bond rating of AA-. And so we worked with Standard & Poor's, Lori and I, on getting a questionnaire put together, responding to questions from the rating agency to get that AA- bond rating reassigned. What that does, the better the bond rating, the lower the interest rate that you borrow money at. And so if you're in the AA category, which the city is, that's considered a very strong credit. And it helps to drive your interest rate lower. And certainly when we're trying to refinance and lower our interest rates, that's an important part here. So, so good job on, certainly Lori helped a lot in getting that put together. So what's on the screen in front of you, Council, then is the final numbers. And we certainly don't have to go over every number. The existing bonds carry interest rates from 3.1% on the 2014 bonds up to 5.65% on the 2010 bonds. And so what we're able to do is cut that interest rate, in some cases more than half, down to 2%. As you'll note towards the top, actually the top line there, callable principal remaining. That means the principal amount on those bonds is $1,970,000. And so that's the remaining principal as it is on your books today. Certainly we've got some cost of issuance and some accrued interest on the bonds. And then there's a column that says less bond premium of $75,000. So what that is the bonds in the current market, interest rates on tax exempt bonds are very low. In fact, near 40-year historical lows. Investors, they don't like to earn at such low interest rates. So they actually pay a premium to earn at a higher rate of return. So the actual interest rate or the yield on the bonds is closer to 1.6%, but the investors paid a premium. They paid $75,000 to have that interest rate be higher at 2%, like you see on the page. So that's $75,000. I know we're getting into some of the weeds here, but comes into as a source of funds for the city. What we do with those funds is buy down the bonds. We reduce the principal on the new bonds. So I know, Mayor, I saw you yawn, I'm kidding, but it's not that exciting. But so you see the top line, the principal on the existing bonds, $1,970,000, and the principal on the new bonds, where it says new bond size, $1,970,000. So at the end of the day, you've got the same amount of principal that will be outstanding. And towards the bottom of the page, then, net debt service reduction. The city is going to realize $243,000 in interest cost savings over the remaining term of these bonds. I'm not able to cash out and give you $243,000, unfortunately. That's money that you'll realize over the remaining term of these bonds. it's about $18,000 to $20,000 a year in lower debt service payments that you'll realize. At the bottom, then net present value percentage is 9%. So that's considered a very strong refunding. That's the highlights, council. When I say a net savings, that's already factoring in the cost of issuance. So there's no out of pocket by the city here. So that's the highlights, Mayor and City Council. I can certainly address any questions that you might have.
When, this will go into effect immediately?
Yes, the resolution that you've got in your packets, well, actually, you've got a draft that's in your packets that probably has some blanks because we didn't know the final numbers until today. But yes, approval of the resolution locks in the rates and the terms that you see in front of you here.
And that's a one-time fee to have this done of 9,000, is that right?
The costs of issuance, yes, are a one-time fee. They're, that's the financing fee, the bond rating, like I noted. The legal is put together by the bond attorney. So those costs are all rolled in. So it's one time, correct?
I mean, I think it's a no-brainer to do it. But I gotta have a motion to go ahead with it.
I'll make a motion that we refi the bonds.
I got a motion, do I got a second?
I'll second it.
Wayne made the motion, Terry seconded, all in favor, Wayne?
Aye.
Patrice,
Yeah, aye.
Terry,
Aye.
Jason,
Aye.
motion's carried. So all you gotta sign this and we'll get it back to you.
Fantastic. Thank you, council. Thanks for the questions.
Thank you for helping us out and everything here already, George, so.
You're welcome.
Now, I gotta figure out where I'm at. Board of Appeals, April 14th at 5:30, right, Laurie?
Yes, and Levon will come here then.
She's gonna come here?
Yep, so we
And we're
can-
meeting in person, right?
Yep, we can have up to 15 people, so I'm not sure what we'll do. Maybe we'll have to have a Zoom meeting with the people that aren't, or overflow.
Okay.
I don't know. We're also learning how to use our new recording system. So that will be happening next time. Yippee.
Just call you editor in chief, huh?
Pardon me?
Producer, editor in chief and producer.
Yeah, scary.
Okay, so we'll do that starting at 5:30. Everybody will meet here. And then, well, it goes into the next one, meet in person on that day, so.
Yep, so council will start at 6:30 then.
Yep. Even if we get done, we still gotta wait till 6:30 to start the
Yep.
council meeting, so. Just to let everybody know, we can't just go into the next one. Council concerns. I'm about had it, so. Any council concerns?
So our next meeting is the 14th, and then after that, we're meeting again at 6? Is that how that? Or
6:30.
6:30, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
6:30 is a regular time, so until, I mean, we can start meeting in there. I guess we probably need to wear masks. Follow the rules.
We're gonna be back at the city hall then, you're saying?
I would
Yeah.
guess everybody would prefer that, right? Is that good?
I guess.
I don't know, I never left.
Yeah, that's true.
And I don't have anything else.
Okay, anybody have anything?
Yeah, well, for the council concerns, I did have somebody approach me about leaving a vehicle because they drank too much and they didn't know what to do with the vehicle and they had a parking ticket. They were wondering what we can do about that. Can we get special tags or anything for them? I just told them I'd bring it up and figure out what they wanted to do. They were very upset. They said they weren't able to drive, so they just left their car and they called for a sober ride, and then they had received a ticket on their car. And
I talked to Josh today about that same subject,
okay,
and I told him I'd bring it up to the council tonight. That's what I forgot. I'm sorry, but we have a parking issue from November to April. And I told him, I says, I would rather see somebody leave their car downtown and then take a chance at driving.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering, and that's what I told him. I said, if we can make something up where the bartender or somebody can go out and put it in their windshield saying I'm patronizing this corner of the Dars or whatever. And then, so when they leave the cars there, they know, okay, this person's being responsible. That's the biggest thing. They're being responsible by not driving.
Mhm.
And I think we have to work with them on that. And
Yes.
Josh is behind it 100% too. So, I mean, if that's fine with everybody else, we'll I'll have them figure something out with the Barks to have that done. Anybody have any objections about that, or
no,
just keeping everybody safe? That's the biggest thing.
all right.
Great idea.
Okay, that's what we'll do then. Then I got a motion to pay the bills.
I move.
Patrice makes a motion, second.
I'll second.
Jason seconds. All in favor, Wayne?
Aye.
Patrice?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Motion's carried. Did I get a motion to adjourn the council meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Terry made the motion, Wayne made a second. All in favor, Wayne?
Aye.
Patrice?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Motion carried, meeting adjourned. Now we'll go into the EDA meeting. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes of the February 24th meeting?
Aye. I do.
Wayne made a motion.
I'll second it.
Terry made a second. All in favor, Wayne?
Aye.
Patrice?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Jason?
Oh, please.
Motion's carried. Other business. I don't know of any other business. Do you, Dick, or?
Well, we haven't had any really lot of activity here on the last really month or 45 days. So there's not a lot going on up there right now. There's some building going on, but that's about it. So I don't have anything to report other than what I talked about in the regular meeting as far as Kenny Ryan and the senior living project.
Okay. Sita, Donna.
Hi, good evening. We have Ron Ziegler, the CEO of CETA here on the virtual meeting with us. And Ron, did you want to start out?
Hey, I sure can. Thank you, Donna. Thank you, Mayor and council members and EDA representatives and staff. Thank you for your continued support of CETA. It is greatly appreciated. As you are aware, Donna is planning on retiring at the end of May. And I just wanted to pop into your meeting and acknowledge that and just say that thank you to Donna for her work and for you for supporting her during the time that she was there, and to let you know that we are in the process of looking for a new team member to fill in for Donna as she does retire. I'm hoping that at your next meeting, we will introduce that person to you, and I'll tell you here that we will make this as seamless as possible so that you won't notice any change of the quality of service that Donna gave you. So I'd be more than willing to answer any questions if you have any, but just rest assured that we will keep moving forward.
Anybody have anything they want to bring up?
Again, thank you for your support.
Thank you, Ron. Anything you want to bring up, Donna?
No, I've just really enjoyed Goodhue but sorry, I'm looking forward to retirement. I have a lot of plans. Steve and I haven't quite decided yet where or when we're traveling or how we're going to do it, whether we'll be taking the winters in Florida or we're considering buying a Class C motorhome. We also have a sailboat. We have a 1960 vintage 17-foot runabout we've restored. We're anxious to get that on the lake this spring. I volunteered to help my daughter-in-law set up a photography business through her home, shampooing carpets, helping others. Also, Steve and I love riding bike trails and reading and putzing in our vegetable and landscaping here in the yard. So I'll have plenty to do, but it's going to take a long time. I'm going to miss all the folks and in the communities that I work, because it's been a very rewarding career working with CETA. I couldn't be prouder of our team and the communities and the works that we have done in them.
I want to thank you for the city of Goodhue for everything you've done.
You're welcome. My
I'm gonna
pleasure.
I'm gonna be retiring too, hopefully in July, so
Oh, are you? Well, congratulations.
hopefully.
Like Reese told me today, he says, I'm kind of jealous. And I said, yeah, but the alternative, you got to grow old to do this.
He doesn't have enough gray hair like this.
I know, I only got a couple poking through, but
Yeah, it's nice to be able to retire young enough to enjoy many things yet. So, but thank you, everyone.
Thank you. So is there anything else to bring forward to the EDA meeting? If not, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Well, I have some things I have to tell you about though, other than Donna's retirement here.
Oh, that's what I was asking. Okay.
So the American Rescue Plan, I did send out, there's a grant for restaurants called the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. And I sent some information out to the restaurants. And what it is it's a grant, and it's for the COVID-19 pandemic related revenue losses. So it's fund grants that do not have to be paid back. And it's eligible for restaurants, lounges, bars, food trucks, food carts, etc. And I did send it out to those in Goodhue. The convenience store, I'm not sure he qualifies, but he'll have to decide upon that. Also the bar, and I think Lori, you were going to send that one out. I kind of misplaced her daughter's email. Dars Pub received it. I think there was one more, and I'm not thinking of. Anyway, they've got that information. The applications aren't out yet that I'm aware of, unless Ron, have you seen applications yet for that restaurant? No, yeah, I think it's too early for that. The other thing, I have to move this along so you can all get to church. I have emailed with Traben. We're kind of playing email tag here between the two of us in regards to the Veterans Firemen's Memorial. On our last email, we're looking towards April 13th, my next day for Goodhue, that we can either converse during the day somehow by phone or a virtual meeting, or I'm available in the evenings too, if that works better for Traben. The next thing I have is the Goodhue County SHIP. We had talked about when Abby Wright was CETA and the trail grant. When we were out there walking the trail with Lori and Steve both, we talked about mile markers out there. And I did contact Goodhue County Live Well SHIP. As I mentioned last month, David Anderson retired at the end of last year. But he did look it up for Megan, is it Roshan? Is that how I pronounce that? She's from Goodhue. Anyway, David did tell her that yes, with the micro grant through the Goodhue County Live Well, we can apply if you'd like to have signs out there as mile markers on the current trail that we have. And their matching dollars are generally just in kind. So that's something you can consider. Let's see, also Cranston Heights Park. I had this idea that came across my head last November or December, and I haven't brought it up. I was hoping to do a little further investigation with it. I've been working with Megan Roshan from Goodhue. She's the coordinator for Goodhue County SHIP, and she's volunteered. She'd love to be a part of this. And I've also spoken with Reese in regards to this. And Reese, I was concerned about ADA compliant, and Reese informed me today that in what he has found out through his investigation or his speaking with ISG's Park and Recreation, is that correct, Reese? That he found if we call this the Nature Explorer, what was it, Reese?
So essentially, if you term it, and this is the way that Three Rivers Parks, and this is kind of just some discussions that our Parks and Rec folks have had. If you call it a natural exploration park, then you don't necessarily have to. It's not necessarily a playground, and so it gets into some semantics of, you know, the ADA accessibility pieces, because like Donna was mentioning, there's two general types when you're talking these natural playgrounds, and it's really, you know, one is, you know, you're literally taking actual boulders or cutting down a tree and making some of these features. The other kind and style that you'll see a lot is more of a, it's like a prefabricated, you know, something to make it look like a log or look like something else that's more natural in characteristics. But a lot of those products have all been ADA tested, and they're more playground level. But it's kind of just, you know, the cost obviously goes up quite substantially when you're buying something like that, as opposed to somebody going out and building it. So it's kind of a quick overview.
To expand on that, then what I was thinking is if Goodhue needed to tear down those 2 or 3 trees that are hanging over the current swing set, and I'm happy, I got a couple months to do this, that I'm happy to try to help find some volunteers in the community that we'd probably have to find some funds to tear down those trees. But then if you feel, or if you want to put feelers out, but I think we need a lot more investigating, checking this out. But for volunteers to create, and I found some photos online too that it's exciting, because the people I have shared it with was Reese and the girls at Goodhue County SHIP, and also with our task force that's working on the depot, and they all seem quite excited about this. Part of me was I didn't bring it up. I wanted to have all my ducks in a row, but I also want to give it have you have some thought about it to see if you're even interested. Because if we're looking at a veterans fireman's memorial, possibly at Cranston Heights or at the depot, we're kind of a pickle in the middle here as to what direction to go. I'm hoping we could do a natural exploration park out there. I still hear about the parents and the grandparents over in that area that would really like to see something there for them. And I think this nature park, playground park, this exploration with these wonderful activities on it for children and even for teenagers, is something new to the community that we don't have. And I believe the closest ones are like Farmington and Northfield. So I was trying to keep this under my belt before I got a lot more information together. But I think with the, like I said, with the memorial and the depot, some decisions we have to consider and see what direction we want to go here. I'm afraid when the word gets out, then all the other communities, they're going to want to do the same, and we won't have that unique park in our community. But something for you to think about. I don't know if you have any feedback on that thought.
Well, if you get us some information so we can look at it,
Sure.
that'd be the first thing we have to do.
Right. So you can do like even a swing set, you can do like just take wood instead of like the ones that are out there now, you can build a wood like people do in their backyards, and then you can purchase a swing to put in it, or you can build one out of wood. But there's some of the photos, yeah.
Photos,
Thank you, Traven. See, there's where you can build the stand or whatever it's called. And then that could be like an adult swing. And then you got your playground with your sand. And then I don't know if we dig a hole in the hill out there, but there's different things you can do. This rock thing, we could easily dig into the hill out there. And then you just take some wood, and then we can purchase those little fake rocks then to put on there. But this is a balancing different activities than just your usual playground. And I was hoping this is just kind of a social time where kids can kind of hang out. There's a little fort area, a log fort into the ground. There's where they took the hill and they had the slide come down, and the slide falls into like a little sand pit.
That's kind of interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of fun. Something unique, and there's many more. If you Google nature parks, you'll see a number of photos. I have some others too that I took, but I kind of want to get those up to Traven and the girls to kind of take a look at and see what they're thinking. But we got more work to do on it.
Okay,
So I
well,
will get you more information if you'd like. I'm happy to do that.
well, thank you. Yeah, just if you can, then just send some up for us.
Yeah, I'll do that for you.
Okay.
Let's see, the other thing is the Goodhue Depot. That application is still in process. I left a phone call again this morning to the Minnesota Historical and Cultural Heritage for some questions that I have. One of the questions I do have to move forward on it is I need a name of a project director. Somebody that would be primarily responsible if we are awarded the grant. Being I'm retiring, this grant is due April 9th, and we won't know until early June whether we get awarded or not. Ron said that we could put it in his name, or do we put it in Lori's? If it goes into Ron's name, then my replacement from CETA could continue on with this, because we also need an authorized officer that I also need a name for, which I'm sure would probably be Lori. Someone to accept the grant, conduct the business, someone to follow through. And Lori would be the one I would think that would be able to help do with the financing and that type of thing. So first of all, who would you like as a project director? Ron, Lori, or someone else? And this is for the depot grant. And this grant is only for the review on it, the evaluation is the word I'm looking for.
Well, I think if we're gonna be changing people there, that Ron should be doing it. That's my opinion.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. And Ron, when I talked to him last few weeks ago, he said he was okay with that.
How the rest of you feel though?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. And then when the new person comes in for the transition, to keep them involved.
Okay, sounds good. And then the authorized officer, you're okay with Lori? Or Carrie, it's gotta be someone that can sign for the city.
Oh,
Carrie or Lori?
Lori loves the sign.
I know she does. Okay, Lori, you'd be it. And then the American Rescue Plan, we as a team with CETA, we will keep in touch with that and give you guys the information as needed or out to our businesses. Okay.
Okay.
I think that was everything. Yeah. Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for everything you've done so far. And
You're welcome.
Thanks,
My
Donna.
pleasure. You're welcome.
we'll probably be seeing you next month then, Ron, or somebody with you.
I'll still be with the April meeting.
Oh,
the
yeah,
one-
you'll
the
be
fourth-
the April, yeah,
Yeah,
won't
I'll
you?
still be
Okay.
here the fourth Wednesday in April, and my last day with CETA is I'll be working that Thursday, May 27th. It's the last Thursday in May. I'll be working 3 days yet that week. And your meeting is the night before I retire. You're on my calendar to attend that meeting, but if it's not gonna do us any good, then I won't attend that meeting. But possibly, maybe it'd be better if I bumped in on this no, I won't be able to do that. Never mind. The second Wednesday, Goodview has their meeting, so that won't work out. But
Okay.
I'll be around. I'll be around.
Well, thank you.
Welcome.
Anybody got anything else for the EDA? Can I get a motion to adjourn it?
So moved.
Wayne made a
Second.
motion. Patrice second, all in favor. Ron? Or, dude, Wayne?
Aye.
You guys look so much alike except for the hair. Patrice?
Aye.
Terry?
Aye.
Jason?
Aye.
Motion's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Happy Easter.